Jai Hind everyone. I am Shraddha Johari, Assistant Professor, IT Department. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on asymptotic notation from the subject Design and Analysis of Algorithm. So first of all, we should know what is an algorithm. So what is an algorithm? It is a combination or sequence of the state to solve a given problem. Means whatever we want to discuss or design in the form of program, we should know the solution, and a step-by-step sequence of that solution is known as algorithm. So basically, if the problem is having more than one solution or algorithm, then the best one is decided by the analysis based on the two factors. What are the two factors? We are going to discuss those. So whenever we are designing a solution for the problem, we have multiple solutions. If we are having only one solution, then that is only the solution which is best. But if we have multiple solutions, then we have to decide one of the solution among the multiple ones based upon the analysis. And analysis is being done with the help of various properties. Whenever we are designing an algorithm, that particular algorithm must have some properties. And these properties are, first, it must terminate after finite time. Means whatever solution you are designing must be terminated at a proper time. It must have finite time for the execution. Second, it must have at least one output. Whatever solution you are designing, it must give at least one result, one output. Otherwise, it is of no use. Next, algorithms are supersets of all programming languages. Means algorithm is a general solution. It does not have any kind of programming syntax within it. It is a general solution written in any language which is understandable by the user. Next, it is deterministic. And last but not the least, it input may or may not be. It must accept some input, or it may have some default values on the basis of which it may generate some output. So whenever you are designing an algorithm, it must have these properties. Next, how to construct an algorithm. This is the major issue, and DA generally discusses this only. So how to construct an algorithm. So as we are of computer science, we always work with the program designing, the code, but we do not start writing the code initially from the very first. What is the process? First, we should know the problem clearly. We should have a clear-cut problem statement so that we can design a solution. And for designing a solution, first of all, we should write an algorithm. And there are various methods to write an algorithm. Some of the methods are divide and conquer, greedy method, dynamic programming, branch and bound, and backtracking. So using one of these methods, we provide our solution. After designing the algorithm, we go with the flow chart, then with the testing of the solution, and then coding, and then analysis. And the best solution among all the algorithms we have designed will be the final answer to the problem. Next is the time complexity. What is time complexity? So time complexity of an algorithm quantifies the amount of time taken by an algorithm to run as a function of the length of the input, which means how much time is being taken by your algorithm to run as a function in the program is defined as the time complexity. So note that time to run is a function of the length of the input and not the actual execution time of the machine on which the algorithm is running on. Means whatever time we are taking here is function of length of input, not the actual execution time, because actual execution time is based upon the machine, the processor. So we cannot say If machine is generating result with a delay, it means the algorithm is worst, because time complexity generally depends upon the length of input we are providing. So in this way, we can say whenever we analyze our algorithm, so whatever is the input size and the number of computations done, we get different graphs. So starting from the best to worst scenario. So we are having constant, that is we are getting our results in the constant time, that is O of 1. After that it is logarithmic, then linear, log linear, then quadratic, polynomial, exponential, and then factorial. So in this way we go to the worst conditions, that is total input size and the total number of computations will decide the complexity measures. Next, analysis. Now analysis can be done on two bases, that is post priori and priori. Now what are these two? How we are going to differentiate between these two? So post priori analysis is dependent on language of compiler and type of hardware. Means whatever language, programming language we are using, its compiler and the type of hardware we are working on will decide this type of analysis. And priori analysis is independent of the language of compiler and hardware type. Now posteriori analysis gives the exact answer and priori gives the approximate answer. Next, answer will change from system to system. As posteriori analysis is dependent upon the hardware, so whenever we change the system, answer will be changed. But in case of priori, there is no change of answer with the change in the system, because we are no more concerned with the hardware. Next, post priori analysis does not use asymptotic notation to represent the time complexity of algorithm, but in priori we use asymptotic notations to represent the time complexity of an algorithm. So what are asymptotic notations? Asymptotic notations are the mathematical way to represent the time complexity. These notations describe the running time of an algorithm in terms of function, whose domain are the set of natural numbers. Means whatever time complexity we are getting in the terms of functions is represented with the help of asymptotic notations. So how can we define the asymptotic notation? It can be defined as the way to describe the behavior of functions in the limit or without bounds. And what is asymptotic growth? The rate at which the function grows. And the third term which is discussed here is the growth rate. It is the complexity of the function or the amount of resource it takes up to the compute. Means growth rate is nothing but it is time plus memory. We can simplify this line as growth rate is nothing but time is memory. Now classification of growth means whatever asymptotic notations we are using, the growth rate, the function will grow with the same rate, second is the slower rate, and third is the faster rate. So these are the three categories on basis of the growing rate: same, slow, or fast. So we have three asymptotic notations which are mostly used, that is big O notation, omega notation, and theta notation. There are other two also, that is little o and little omega, but these two are rarely used. Maximum or majorly we use these three notations: big O, big omega, and theta. So one by one we are going to discuss these notations. So these are the basically graphs, and from where these graphs come? From the functions we are describing in the mathematical module. So first we have big O notation. What is big O notation? That is, big O notation is used for the slower rate. Means this notation mainly represent upper bound of the algorithm runtime. Whatever is the upper bound of the algorithm is being represented with the big O notation. The symbol is capital O. Big O is represented with the help of capital O. So, big O notation, as the definition says, it defines the upper bound of the algorithm. The function which we are getting here as the formula is f of n is less than is equals to c into g of n, where n is greater than equal to n0 and c is greater than equal to 0 and n0 is also greater than equal to 1. Means all the integers are constant integers, positive constant integers. So, whatever function we are having is having less value as c dot g of n. So, generally big O notation is used for calculation of the worst case complexity of the algorithm. So, whenever we want to calculate the worst case complexity, we generally use big O notation. See? Now, within this function, we have fn and gn. So, what are fn and gn? Fn and gn are the two non-negative functions. These are the two non-negative functions. So, whenever we calculate the complexity with the help of big O notation, the result we always get is f of n is equals to big O of g of n. Means whatever is the function g is being written with the O symbol. That is going to be the complexity of the function f of n. F of n is nothing but the algorithm for which we are calculating the complexity. Now, if there exists two positive constants c and n such that for all value n is greater than 0 and c is greater than 0, means whatever constants we are taking are positive constant. So, c and n are always be greater than 0. Next we have omega notation. So, what is omega notation? It generally uses for the faster growth rate. Remember the growth rate we discussed in previous slides? The growth rate is same, slow and fast. For slower rate we have big O notation, for fast rate we have omega notation. So, it generally represents the lower bound of the algorithm. Means if I say, if I want to calculate the best case complexity of an algorithm, then I must go with the omega notation. So, omega notation will define you the best case complexity scenario of the algorithm. So, it will, the formula will become f of n must be greater than equal to c of gn. So, c is again a positive constant, it must be greater than 0, and n is also a positive constant which is greater than equal to 1. Now, for a given function g of n, how we denote the result? We denote the result as omega of g of n. And how we are going to calculate this? With the help of this. So, omega of g of n is nothing but is equals to f of n if there exists positive constant c and n0 such that c of gn is less than equal to 0 and less than equal to f of n. So, here you can see this is nothing but the formula which we have seen in the previous slide, that is f of n must be greater than equal to c dot g of n, because we are calculating the lower bound of the algorithm or the best case scenario. If we use omega notation to give an asymptotic lower bound on a function to within a constant factor, this particular symbol, that is f of n is equals to omega of gn, means that there exists some constant c such that f of n is always greater than equal to c dot g of n for large enough n. That will define the best case complexity. Next, we have the theta notation. What is theta notation? Asymptotic equality, that is when we are talking about the same growth rate. It means there is no major difference between the growth rate is constant or same. That is theta notation. We always use theta notation whenever we are calculating the average runtime of the algorithm. So, whenever we want to calculate the average time complexity of an algorithm, we go with the theta notation. So, we can see the formula also, that theta notation is nothing but f of n, that is function, is lying between c1 dot gn and c2 dot gn, where c is a constant and n is a function. So, theta notation is used for average time complexity calculation. So, there are three asymptotic notations. First one is the big O notation, which is generally used to calculate the worst case complexity of the algorithm. Second one is the omega notation, which is generally used for the best case time complexity calculation. And last one is the theta notation, which is used for the average case time complexity calculation. And in terms of growth rate also, theta notation is responsible for the same growth rate. Omega notation is responsible for the faster growth rate, and big O notation is responsible for the slower growth rate. So, whenever we are talking about the growth rate terms, we can define big O, omega and theta as per the slow rate, fast rate and same rate. And whenever we are talking about the complexity in terms of worst, average and best, we can say big O resembles the worst case, omega resembles the best case and theta represents the average case. So, in this way, we are using these three different asymptotic notation to represent our time complexity. So, generally these are the three different methods for calculation of the time complexity. In detail, we can see that theta notation, whenever we are giving a function gn, we denote it with theta of g of n. The set of function can be defined as theta of gn is nothing but is equal to f of n if there exist positive constants c1, c2 and n0 such that your c1 gn must be greater than equal to 0, must be less than f of n, and in turn f of n is less than equal to c2 dot gn for all n greater than equal to n0, means n must be a positive function. Now, a function f of n belongs to the set theta of gn if there exist positive constant c1 and c2 such that it can be sandwiched between c1 dot gn and c2 dot gn or sufficiently large n. Or in other words, we can also say f of n is equals to theta of gn, means that there exists some constant c1 and c2 such that c1 gn is less than equal to f of n, which is in turn less than equal to c2 dot gn for large enough n. This is the graph for this. You can see here f of n is lying between c1 dot gn and c2 dot gn, and c1 dot gn has comparatively less value as compared to fn, and c2 dot gn has large value as compared to f of n. which is written in the function here. So with the help of this, we can design this graph. So that's all for the today. We will implement, or we are going to discuss more complex problems. We will solve the problems in the next lecture based upon the asymptotic notations, and we will also learn some more methods to calculate the time complexity. So in this particular lecture, we only discuss the asymptotic notations. Rest of the time complexity methods we will discuss in the next lecture. Thank you.